Talks to another episode of for the podcast of champions, Joe. This is the podcast of champions where people tune in for the training tips. And last weekend we both had a sneaky little race, and they're all waiting to see if we got some new tips to share. Have you got some, you reckon?
Just the tip, what we said a few weeks ago on training camp: get fit or get fucked, didn't we?
Get fit or get fucked. Have you got a beer with you right now or not?
No, I haven't. I could do with a kombucha actually. I'm trying to keep off them a bit until after Kona, and then that's when I'll make the most of it. I feel like I'm on a
Fair
bit of
enough.
a roll, so I'm
Fair enough.
trying not to.
I just solely wanted to celebrate this one with you then, but I'll just drink for two then.
You've
Just
got
one
longer
beer.
to wait though, haven't you? You're not racing in 3 weeks again, are you?
I'm not. I just came down from. I just went out for dinner by myself to a restaurant, the Golden Rainbow, and so I'm easing up.
Was that where you went?
That's where I went. I sent you a picture, mate.
Yeah, I just saw a
And
picture of chips, but I didn't really notice it too much. I thought you'd gone to
dude,
like a different.
zoom in because you can. Well, this is what happened. I walked down. It's like third day after the race. Wanted to treat myself, so I walked in, and on the left I could see Ronald. Ronald was sitting on a bench. He had tears in his eye, Joe. Tears in his eyes. He was literally tearing with grease. And he said, "We missed you, Tom. We missed you." And looked on to the right. I saw my friend sitting as well in the corner and said, "We missed you. Where have you been?" I said, "Boys, like, I've missed you too, but I've been training pretty hard. Like, I haven't been to Donald's in a long while. There was no Donald's in Font Romeu.
When was the last time you went?
But
There was a McDonald's quite nearby, isn't there? There's a sign up in near the town, isn't there, saying where it
yeah,
was?
but when I'm training hard, though, I'm not messing around. I'm not messing around.
I had a
So
I had a
I went
cheeky
down to
takeaway.
that cashier and I said to myself, Tom, you can have whatever you like. And if you fancy something on that list, you're gonna get it. So I had 2 cheeseburgers, I had a Big Mac, medium fries, and
2
I had
cheeseburgers and a Big Mac.
2 cheeseburgers and a Big Mac
Wow,
and a
flipping
medium
heck.
fries.
What's that, like
But
5
then
burgers?
to balance it out, I had a Diet Coke.
A Diet Coke. Did you really get a Diet Coke? You
Yeah.
did? Oh my God. I did have a cheeky takeaway yesterday on the way back.
All right, what did you
I had a
have?
Burger King.
Wow,
Like
that is
triple,
nuts.
3 burgers in it and bacon and cheese. Oh, it was lovely.
What's your favorite from the Burger King then?
Bacon and cheese Whopper meal. That was what I had, and that is probably my favorite. That went down an absolute treat.
I like the double Whopper. Always when I go to the Burger King, double Whopper.
That's
What do you like?
Laura's, that is.
What do you like?
That's what Laura went for, a double Whopper.
What would you rather have, Donald's or Burger King?
Oh, no competition, mate. Burger King, 100%. You're a Mackie
For
D's fan,
me,
aren't you? You're a Mackie D's.
I'm a Mackie D, but also, I mean, it depends on the wind, to be honest, because sometimes it's just the burgers from the Burger King are a bit more robust, I would say, a bit more, the onions are quite raw. It's a bit more man-like, and I think the Donald's is more on like the softer side, is a bit more emotion involved. It just hits different.
What about if we
Both.
throw another spanner in the works and add KFC into the mix as well?
I'm not a KFC guy, like not at all. Mate,
Not anymore?
I'd
Oh,
fancy
man.
myself a chicken finger, but not. I would never. Literally, mate. If you
All
go
about
out
the
my
chicken, mate. It's all about
the chicken game there is pretty strong.
Yeah.
But if I walk out my door, I'm not shitting you. I live in like the main street in The Hague. Within 100 meters, 2 McDonald's, 1 Burger King, a KFC, a Five Guys, and a couple of kebab things. Like literally, I'm getting spammed by these. These
I like
stores.
Five Guys, but it's a bit expensive for me for that kind of food, for that takeaway kind of
Five
thing.
Guys is crazy
It's
expensive.
like a
I've went there
restaurant
once. I
price,
was
isn't
like,
it?
wow, it's crazy. Like I went there for burgers once. I was thinking like, whoa, it's
My
like
dad
15.
gets the weirdest thing from McDonald's: a
What, a
sweet
salad?
chili chicken wrap.
Sweet chili chicken
Chili,
wrap.
yeah, but chicken from McDonald's. I mean, come on. Like, surely if you go there for a burger, don't you?
Speaking of chicken, when's the last time you had chicken? Don't lie to me.
Tonight.
Yeah. I knew it. People from the UK always eat fucking chicken.
I don't normally have it, mate.
What did you have pre-race?
Tuna steak.
A tuna
Fresh
steak.
tuna steak. Yeah, a nice fresh tuna steak, mate, with rice. Some packet of rice, what I brought.
But to be honest, tuna is the chicken of the sea, isn't it?
The chicken. Yeah, I only got it because it was quick and easy to do, because you're not supposed to cook it for too long, are you? So it was a couple of minutes. Packet of rice in the microwave. Did some spinach, which I like steamed. and that was it. Job done. Add some avocado as well. Quick and easy meal. No messing around for me.
But anyway, afterwards, I hugged Ronald. I hugged my friends and said, "Boys, it's time for me to get back into training, and we'll be seeing each other again." But anyway, have you got any highs and lows this week?
And my low, mate, my big low was sitting at the side of the road in Ironman Wales for 20 minutes. Like I thought it was over. I was. I can. Should I tell you about it now, or should I
So
just? Should we?
good old Jody went over to 10B last weekend. He raced Ironman Wales. We'll go into it a bit more detail later on. But so on the bike, you had like a mechanical and you had to sit on the side of the road for 20 minutes. Did you think it was long, 20 minutes?
Well, I actually thought it was less than 20 minutes, to be honest. I thought it was 10 to 15 because I thought time always seems like it goes slow, doesn't it, in a race when you're like,
Hmm.
when something goes wrong. So I was like, oh, it felt like 20 minutes, but it was probably only 10, 15. But I didn't dare look at my watch because I didn't want to, like, in case it was more, because I knew it would be a bit demotivating. So I was like, I would just say it's 10 or 15. And then people were giving me splits. But I thought some people were giving me splits, but I think some people must have been giving me position. So someone said like 14. And I thought, oh, I must be 14 minutes behind the leader now, but I was actually in 14th place, I think. So I was probably like 20 something minutes. If they said 20 something minutes, I'd had a heart attack.
Hmm. So you think sitting on the side of the road 20 minutes was a long time, right? Just sitting there is a very long
I
time,
just saw
isn't
them
it?
all go past me one by one. Some of
But
them said, "Are you all right?" Harry Palmer, he said, "Are you all right? You're right." I said, "No," but he carried on anyway. So I was thinking there wasn't really no point in asking me if I'm all right because I said no. And then he's like, "All right, see ya, see ya."
but can you, but if you now put it into perspective, good old Tommy boy waiting for you on the podcast every week for 20 minutes. It's a long fucking while, isn't
It
it?
is a long while, yeah. It is a long
It
while.
is a long while. On training camp every morning, Fabian and Tommy were standing outside waiting for Jody for 20 minutes.
Nah, you weren't waiting 20 minutes. No way.
It felt like 10 to 15, but it was 20.
I also one of my highs was actually junkyard dogging Harry Palmer on the hill in Ironman Wales.
Was that when you passed him the first time
When I
or the
passed him the
second time?
first time, that's probably why when he saw me stop the second when he saw me stop, he didn't bother waiting. He was
What?
like, "See ya."
That was the battle of the influencers, wasn't
That
it?
was the
You and
battle
Harry
of the
Palmer.
influencers. I barked at him. I said, "Come with me, Harry. If you want to get the podium, come with me." He's
And
like,
he
"All
didn't
right."
come with you.
He did, yeah, for a little while, but he should have come with me for the whole thing. He could have been on the podium, couldn't he?
He could have gone with you and just run that 2:37. It's just a lack of minerals. But all right. Did you get any junkyard dogs on course?
Absolutely loads. And I did junkyard dog one other person as well, but they weren't very happy.
Why?
I could just tell. I could just tell.
Did you?
Like,
All right.
it just didn't look very happy. You know when you probably did it to Marcos
Yeah.
and he wasn't really too happy, was he?
Was this like just a random age grouper or what was this?
It was Boris Stein when I went into first place,
Really? You
and
barked at
he
him.
just didn't seem very happy, yeah, and I thought,
He
"Ooh,
couldn't enjoy.
I might
Do
have
you think
touched."
it's German humor?
I don't know, I think I might have touched a nerve there.
Really?
He wasn't too keen. Yeah, he wasn't too
What
happy.
did you say something afterwards?
Yeah, I just said, "Oh, well done," kind of thing, like, "Good race," kind of thing. Like, he
You
just didn't.
shouted at me like a dog.
Yeah, I think he probably thought I was a bit deranged. Why is he barking at me
Mate,
like a dog?
in 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 Almere, it was like I was running through a dog kennel.
Yeah, yeah, it was like that here. It was absolutely crazy. And I even had a message from someone after the race, barking at someone who was wearing DHB kit in Ontario, Canada, like a dog. And the guy spoke to him afterwards and said he brought the DHB kit on purpose because he hoped that people would bark at him like a dog. I sent the guy a message because he told me who he was, and the guy absolutely loved it. So how cool is that? People buying the kit just because they want people to bark at them like a dog.
That's why we need to get that Triathlon Mockery kit.
Yeah.
That's why we need. But I've got a meet up next week because we're also partly sitting with distribution. Because I've got a meet up next week, and then I hope to roll this out in 9 weeks to get all the tri suits and all the cycling tops ready for shipment.
So they might be ready for Kona next year.
Joe, it's all about the training indoors on Swift over the
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah. That is, apparently, quite a few people crashed in, Wales, like,
Did they?
yeah, because it was quite technical, but I wonder if that's because a lot of them ride on Zwift. You know, not used to the corners, are
I
they?
mean, that is, especially because you in a race, you've got the adrenaline, you've got the speed, shit weather, and it is true. If you don't practice, you don't preach, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're always running on Swift, it can be wet on Swift, but nothing will happen. Your character won't all of a sudden like KO or something, will it?
No, no.
But all right. Any highs then over the week?
Well, basically, just the barking and stuff like that. It was actually, I'd say a good high. It's Tenby. It's a really nice place, and it was a great atmosphere with all the athletes there, like all the banter beforehand. Met up with Dougal. Can you remember him from New Zealand? You must have done
Yeah.
some rides and stuff with him. He came over for the race. He's doing some like what's it called? You know, like that extreme race and what he does. What's it called? You
Oh
know,
yeah,
the
with
adventure
rowing and
racing.
all that.
Yeah, yeah. He's doing some adventure training camp in
Isn't there
Switzerland.
a really big one in the UK? One of them races from coast to coast or something.
Is there in the UK?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't know about
Okay.
that. I'd be up for
Yeah. You're more into triathlon.
it.
I've got a really big low, mate.
What's your big low?
The day after my triathlon in Almere, the full distance, I had to carry 8,000 kgs of apples because the business is running again.
8 tons of apples.
8 tons of apples the next day,
Bloody
and
hell.
I was completely in a hole.
Was
Like,
that harder than the Ironman because of the fatigue of the Ironman?
yeah, it has a lot of my determination. Um, yeah, no, it wasn't really great because they started at like 7 a.m. 7 a.m. And it was just till like, what was it?
So your
Till
brothers
7
didn't let you have
p.m.
a day off. They just made you do it on a.
Well, the thing is, so I've got this fruit juice company with my brothers where we people with excess fruit. So I'm talking 100 plus kilos. So from farmers, people with like apple trees and all that, they come over to ours, and we'll kind of suppress it into like juices.
Is that what they need?
Um,
100 kilos?
yeah,
Over
at least
100
100.
kilos?
Mate, it's not a fucking slow juicer. It's like a proper machine. It's like a
Yeah.
big machine. Yeah, so you get people with like a ton of apples or like 500 kgs of apples, and they'll come in. But yeah, 8 tons of apples, and oh, meine Güte, that I was so tired. And then the next day we had to wake up at like 7 a.m. again. So that was last Monday to clean the machine, and yeah, so I didn't had and so after Almere, I couldn't drink a beer. I had to drive home because the next day I had to work for like 14, 15 hours.
Bloody hell. No rest for the
Proper
wicked, mate.
graft. Yeah,
Age group age group triathlon life, that's like, isn't it?
That is
Taking
pretty much
taking you back to your roots.
taking me back to the roots. It keeps me grounded. Keeps me grounded with the feet on the ground. Keeps the feet on the ground. But anyway, Joe, I've got another low.
What's that?
Or maybe I'll start off with the high. I'll start off with the high, Joe. Do you know in like running, they if you would run a 201 in for example Berlin, they would call him, for example, I'm the 201 marathon runner from like wherever you're from, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
would be
yeah.
the 201 from The Hague.
Yeah.
You can call me the 54-minute swimmer from The Hague, mate.
The
Call me
54
54.
minute
The 54.
54 minutes swimmer from The Hague.
I remember I remember we were saying, well, in the last couple of weeks, I've always said like I know I'm capable of swimming faster than 56 minutes, 57 minutes, but I've just never executed it. I've been working hard over the last winter. I've been training with the kids. I had to make them proud. I've been training with like you. I've been training with Lottie and Felipe a lot in Font Remo in the pool, and came out of the water in Almere, and that announcer was like, another fast group, 54 minutes. And I was
Is
thinking
that
like,
what he said? Did he say
yeah,
that?
yeah. And I was thinking like, fucking hell, is this my group? Is this my group? And we're running into T1. And I was like smiling. I was saying, good swim, boys, good swim. Because I remember when we had that start, I was swimming, I think after like the second buoy, I was like in a massive pack, like in a, I think we were like with 15 or something. And I was thinking, this can't be a 1 hour swim. It can't be. It can't be 15 people swimming 1 hour, you know?
Yeah.
And even I remember halfway through that swim, I wanted to look at, so it was basically 2 laps. Halfway through that swim, I wanted to look at my watch because I was thinking I was moving, you know? I was like
Yeah.
fucking moving. I was thinking, I want to see the swim time. I want to see what I'm swimming, but I couldn't see it.
What did you try and look at it?
I was too keen. I tried and looking at my watch. I wanted to see. I felt I was moving quick. I was still, yeah. Yeah.
If you would have seen it and gone through the first lap in like 26 something, because that's probably what you did do, wouldn't it? Because the second
Yeah.
lap's always slow. What would you have thought if you'd have seen like 26:40, something like that?
Like, oh, stay in there, mate. Like, don't get let
Stay in
go. But
there.
that's what I said anyway. Like the whole time. I remember after like the first buoy or the second buoy, I was in this massive pack, and it felt like mega easy, like just steady easy. But I remember at some point I thought like maybe this is even too easy, so I tried to swim past it, and then I saw like, oof, it's actually a bit tough. So this might be the perfect spot.
Yeah, it feels like that,
And
doesn't it? When you sat in, you feel easy, and then when you try and do some
yeah.
effort, you're like, "Oh, it's noticeably
But then
harder."
on the second lap, some of the people up front broke away from that group, and then we were with like 5 or 6 left, but it was like perfect. 5 left, I think.
All right.
Yeah. 54, mate. You can call me the 54. Did you think it was impressive? 54.
Well, I thought you'd swim about 54. I thought you'd be way quicker than 56 or 57. Like 57
I
minutes
don't
is
know.
like 1:30 per 100, isn't it? Like I thought you've got to swim quicker than that.
Nah, 57, isn't that something like 129s?
Well, no,
120
but bang on
128s.
57 flat is bang on 1:30.
Sorry, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I was like,
uh,
you've got to be swimming like 126s at least. That's 54, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, well, I had no clue. I had no clue. I was thinking I always mess
I
this
kept the
up,
faith in
and
you. That's why.
you kept the faith of me. But tell me about Tembe, mate, because I think you had the race of the season, didn't you?
Well, go on. Tell us the rest of the race. Then while we're on the topic, you can't just back out of it like that.
All right, all right. So came out of the water. I was thinking 54. You're in the race. I heard it was like 6 minutes off the big group. So you had Lucas White, but he's always like miles up. He swam 44,
44. I saw it.
45,
Yeah,
44.
44:30 he swam.
Yeah. And then the big group swam like between 47 and 49. That was like Evert Scheltinga and Milan Brons and all them. They were like Evert was maybe in between. But I was thinking I'm only 6 minutes down, which isn't that much. And if it's windy in Almere, I can maybe like bridge up or something, or maybe some of them will fall off. So on the bike, went out with 2 guys. First bit is like new. It's all new. It's quite technical. And I was thinking, it was pouring rain, so he couldn't see shit. And I was thinking, so this one guy lives pretty close to Almere. I thought I'll let him in the front, but apparently I was thinking the speed is not that high, and I don't want to mess this up. I was literally running at like 220 watts in his wheel. I was thinking like I'm 6 minutes off. I just want to get as soon as I can to like ride at 300 free plus. And but apparently his front tire was flat.
Oh,
But
really?
anyway,
So
I
that's
just
why it
moved.
was so easy then.
Yeah, I reckon so. But why he was riding easy? But anyway, I just went on and rode for about. So the first lap, I rode 305 watts. I thought like I'll push it a little bit harder. It felt like really good. Um, I didn't really have to search it because I thought it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you said it as well the day before. If you're 6 minutes down, it doesn't make any sense to ride like half an hour at 370 watts. You probably won't catch them anyway. And also, you don't know if they've got any like motorbikes get paced along. So I didn't want to burn any matches. And I was thinking if I'll just ride at like 300 watts, I'll get like a decent time. Then after a lap, the wind changed again, like full on headwind on the open bits, and then a tailwind on like the closed bits, which was a bit annoying. Um, and that's a very boring stretch, isn't it? Because you've got basically 30K straight, full on into a headwind. I could see no one in front of me, no one behind me. It was mentally draining. Um, Took me about 40 minutes to get over that stretch, 35 minutes, something like that. Yeah, I think it was 25K. Then from 140Ks on, I had like mentally, I was thinking like, this course is a bit boring because you're sitting in the aero bars for like 4.5 hours, aren't you? But then I thought, I still feel pretty fresh, like my legs feel mega fresh. With about 20Ks to go, I decided to push a little bit less. So I thought, I'll make sure I'll come into transition pretty fresh, no lower back problems, nothing, nutrition on point. I'll probably like spank that marathon. Came into T1, so the course was a bit long. I think it was 182 Ks. So I came through the 180 in 4:17 and a half, 4:18. And I remember a couple of years ago, I saw some Ironman pros riding like 4:15, 4:18. I was thinking like, wow, if you can do that in an Ironman, that is pretty good going. So that was a really a high for me. That I think cycling over the last 2 years has taken a massive shift. Don't you think if you look at back, for example, at Wanaka when we rode together, or
Yeah, 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 it's definitely improved quite a bit, and, that would have been a really good time, compared to other pros, like, a few years ago, but everyone's improved so much, haven't they? But
yeah,
then
yeah,
saying
no,
that, you weren't far off because Starkey got the fastest bike split, and wasn't he, like, 4:11, 4:12? So,
yeah, 4:12. He was like 8 minutes quicker, 7 or 8
but
minutes, and he
I
was
s
he was like almost the whole way in a two up. First with a group, then in the two up, and I did 180k solo TT. So I know I'm capable of riding a steady Ironman effort and with more people. I'm not saying that you draft them, but it's easier if you're in a group. Even if you keep legal distance, you have that mental let up. And also, when you're riding straight into a headwind, you can take turns. Even sitting at 12 meters is like a massive advantage, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. With, like, if you've got, like, 5 people, you save quite a bit, quite a lot, like 50 or 60 watts probably, maybe even more, which is
But
huge.
then came off the bike, super fresh, got my shoes on. I thought I was going to spank that run. Was running, feeling I was running 340k pace, just like you. But then I saw my K splits on the watch and I was thinking, positive thinking, Tom, that GPS is probably not right.
Why, so what was your
Still,
first couple of case bits then?
first couple of K splits were like 4.5, four flat, first four.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went like into like 4:15s, and it felt like I was motoring. I felt like
Why
it
was it
wasn't.
so how come they were so slow then when they felt so good, so comfortable?
I don't know. I don't. I just think, and this is. I just think this is where like the fitness, because it didn't feel hard as in like you're doing a threshold rep. It felt more like you're going fast, but you're not going fast. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
think it's just I don't have the speed. Like I've been training for 8 weeks. I've only done 4 weeks where I did some interval session that was at altitude. All the other, and also at altitude, Joe, for me, it was like a lot of fucking around in the hills. Like I told you, like, I don't know if I'm getting any speed in the legs, but if you've got the speed because you did like all the base before it. But I remember the first week I was running at 160 BPM doing like an easy run, or whenever I would do a flat run, my heart rate would still be high. I remember when we did that hilly run, we went up like 500 meters of elevation. My average heart rate was like 150, which is basically Ironman heart rate. So I knew
You need Taylor
um,
Spivey to whip you into shape a bit more.
I
Few
do,
more
I
sessions
do.
with Taylor Spivey and you would have been
That,
flying, mate.
but going off that, I ran the marathon like almost completely flat. It might be a bit slow, but completely flat. There was no bonking, there was no fading. It was just there wasn't any speed. Like it was a, it was like it was a 303 run, a 304, and I'll take it. I just know I just need to build that run. Maybe I just can't complain in 8 weeks. I was a bit disappointed at first because I always like my last couple of runs have been between two. Well, last year, for example, was a bit long, but that would have been a 253, 254. Then Cork was 259, and at 257 in Girona, whatever. But then, yeah, 304. But I just think this is where it is. Just something to work on now.
So you need to get it up a bit.
What do you
Take
think then?
what about your run?
About the race? You've been watching the race, haven't you?
Yeah, oh yeah, I watched it. I thought your run was gonna be quicker than 3:04.
I thought that.
I thought you'd
But
probably
I
run 2:50 to 2:55 on that course.
but I told you beforehand, I said I don't know what shape I'm in because of the damn altitude.
But you did a few runs, beforehand where you were running quite good paces, didn't you? Like at sea level,
Only
didn't you?
one.
Was it only
Only
one?
one.
Yeah. You just need a few more weeks training. You said you didn't do much before you went to altitude, so, to have a good swim and a good bike, Rome weren't built in a day, was it?
Exactly. And it isn't finished yet. No, but
Yeah.
I mean, the whole takeaway from the race in the end is massive shift in the swim. The bike has been, I had no lower
After the
back
swim and the
problem.
bike, you were in contention, weren't you, for a top 5?
That was the thing. I came off the bike. They said 9 minutes or 10 minutes off the front. And then that was only Starkey, I think. And then all the others were in like
Closer than
seven
me,
or eight
mate.
minutes.
You were 7 minutes closer than me to the front.
Exactly. So I was thinking for a change, I'm not just on the start list with everyone, but I'm actually in the race this time.
And if you made that front pack or that pack, the next pack up, that was one with Starkian, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like 50 minutes, you basically need to swim like 4 seconds, 100 quicker. You would have had a chance of getting right, like, right at the front because you could have potentially tried to stay with him, which might have worked or might not. But if he took you up, if you stayed with him for a little while, at least then you would have been taken up to the front group, wouldn't you? Then you could have sat in, saved your energy, and if you had a half decent run, you'd have been right in the mix then.
Yep. Yep. I mean, but this is Ironman, isn't it? It's always unfinished business. But it's a personal best, a great swim, good bike, strong run because I didn't fade. It was just a bit slow.
I nearly ended up doing Challenge Almere.
I know.
A last
I
minute
know.
decision. My mum and dad, like when the Queen passed away, like you knew about that, didn't you? Like it was
Yeah.
all around the world. Basically, a lot of the stuff in England was getting cancelled. So loads of the football games got cancelled. Some running races, and there was a Ironman Wales was in doubt. This is on Thursday night about whether or not it'd be cancelled. So I was like, oh my god, like I've tapered, I'm rested. I really want to do the race, but I was like, I'm not sure if it's going to go ahead. And we didn't really get any. The latest update from Ironman was if you haven't travelled to the race yet, don't travel to Tempe. So you're like, oh, that doesn't sound too good. That was what it.
Do you think many people didn't travel in the end and the race went ahead anyway?
I think a lot of people stayed at home on the Friday because we heard, and then when they realised it was going to go ahead Friday afternoon, they ended up travelling down. So some people would have got there really late Friday, who were
Wow.
planning to leave early morning Friday. Like my parents travelled up Friday, and they travelled up like really early. Like they were going to my house on the way. So they were at my house in Norwich. They'd already travelled like 40 minutes at 4:30 a.m. And they
Hmm.
were going to bring my passport and Laura's passport. So if the race got cancelled, I'd already spoke to the people from Almere and I'd looked
Yeah.
at flights and everything. And I was like, can I get, if the race is cancelled, can I get an entry into it last minute? And I had to make a decision up by midday, 12 p.m. And if I decided to do the race, I would have to have left at 12 o'clock to get to Bristol Airport for 2:30 to get a 4:30 p.m. flight to Amsterdam, and then I'd have probably got to Almere at like, I don't know, 8 p.m. or something the night before. That would have been like crazy, wouldn't it? And I didn't even
I
have a
know.
bike box, so I'd have had
I
to try and
sp-
scab one from someone.
I spoke to Belinda Granger in the lobby, like literally that morning. She was like, "Joe messaged me. He wants to come over and race." I said, "Yeah, I don't know what he's like, if the race is going ahead or not." Still didn't know what you going to
And
do,
then
but
Friday
anyway.
morning, when I woke up, they hadn't said anything. And then we didn't hear anything by like 10 or 11 o'clock. So I was like, well, surely if they were going to cancel it, they would have done it first thing in the morning, wouldn't they? Like 9 a.m., half nine. You would have thought so, wouldn't you? But it is Iron
Hmm.
Man. Anything can happen.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Anything can happen. Yeah.
so I didn't say anything. And then we kind of got the point that it was going on. And someone saw one of the Iron Man people in the town and put it on the Facebook group. She said, yeah, the Iron Man's definitely going ahead. It's still going ahead. So then you're like, phew. And then we end up getting the confirmation about 3 or 4 p.m. that day. And I thought, God, that was lucky. Because I was like thinking like Thursday night when I went to bed, oh no, the whole race is going to be cancelled. This is a nightmare. I've traveled all the way here.
And you've got the taper week, and you just want to get like a nice day of training in with nutrition post, right?
Well, some people had said that they were going to go at 7 o'clock in the morning and do the race. And I was thinking, well, I'll do the swim and the bike at 7 a.m. if a load of people are going to go down there. And like, at least I'll get a decent session in and then just do like, I don't know, 10 or 20K of the run, something like that. So I was planning, I was planning on joining them at like 7 a.m. Sunday morning. If I couldn't get
Speak,
to Almere, if I was there, I was like, well, I'm there anyway. I might as well get a decent like session in, see what it's like. But thankfully it did go ahead.
Speaking of Joe, I've got a low of the week from someone called Louis.
Louis.
Well, I can't find the message, Joe. But basically, I do remember this guy called Louis. He was in Tembe on Thursday morning, and he was there 9:15 or something like that, 15 minutes early to the course recce. Curious what course he was going to recce or what the route was, but he was going to be there to ride with the big Joe skipper opposite the swim start, and he waited there till 10:15. And then it started raining, and he realized Joe probably had left without him.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh man, like he should have messaged me. Like we went out, but I only had a message from one person in the end. So me and a guy, oh God, I got his name's escaped me now. Looks really bad. But he messaged me, and because there was only two of us going, we end up changing the meeting spot to a cafe and having a coffee first, and then going
No!
out.
You fucking changed the meeting spot.
Well, I didn't
Not
know.
a
No one messaged. Everyone said that they weren't coming. They said it would be
but
too fast. People were saying
wasn't
it
it
would ruin their
didn't you
race.
do, like, an open invite saying, "Be there in 10B, 9:30
Yeah,
AM,
but loads of
opposite the
people were.
swim start," and then he's like, "Alright," he says it, "I'll just go there. I won't message him because probably a shitload of people message him."
Everyone was messaging me saying it will ruin their race. It will ruin my race. It'll be too fast. Would love to come, stuff like that. And I was saying, no, you'll be all right. You'll be all right, you know. Yeah, I just got a message from one other guy in the end who said, are you still wrecking the course? Said, yeah, 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 I'm like, you up for it? He said, yeah, all right, I will do.
Oh,
And
there was this one other guy that also wanted to recce it, and he
one
was
other
out
guy,
there
if I'd have
all
known
alone.
Louis was there, I would have definitely turned up. But I didn't realize
Have you
he
got
was going to be there.
anything to say to Louis?
Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
What course did you do in the end?
We did the, small we did the long course weekend bike course.
No, but to be honest, you didn't do the full race course, did you?
Well, we did the small lap, we didn't do the big lap and the, small lap as well.
Alright,
That'd
alright.
be like 110 Ks. I was tempted to do it, but then I thought, "No, it might be a bit much." So we just did the 70K loop.
Fair enough, fair enough. Anyway, Joe, talk me through your race, Tembe. Get me to that start line. What happened?
So you turn up in the morning, and that start is absolutely amazing for atmosphere. Like literally, every fit where is lined with people, which is pretty unusual for an Ironman to be that many people. Like I think Challenge Roth has a big fit like turnout like that with spectators, but you don't normally get thousands of people do you out at 6:30 in the morning ready to watch you. But anyway, you could see the sea, mate, and it was rough as you were going down
How
there.
many people are we talking? Are we talking
Thousands. Literally
thousands? Wow.
lined. Like, if you look at the pictures, you if you weren't standing next to the barrier, if you wanted to watch it next to the barrier, you wouldn't be able to if you got there 20 minutes before the start.
Wow.
Like, you'd be like 5 back, like 5 people back. It's like you're at a concert, mate. And then they play the Welsh nat you look and you can see the swim, there's like a big old swell in the water. So you're thinking, "Cool, this is gonna be rough." Like, and that bay normally keeps it, like, pretty calm. So it was unusual the whole time I'd been there, and even when I was there the year before, that there was actually, like, a decent swell. So you're thinking, "Oh, fucking hell, this is gonna be, interesting." Did a bit of a warm up. I was a bit late, mate, for the warm up. Like, so I had to it
You
was
were late.
I was late, yeah. Started at
Wow.
6:30 and I heard them say 5 minutes left. So I got in there at 6:35 because we were meant to have a 10-minute one.
We didn't have a warm up.
Well, didn't you? I hate that when they don't have a warm up.
I I hate that. I was
That's like
thinking if I have a bad swim, it's because I don't have a warm up.
so they only let the warm up for the pros. So loads of the age groupers, I think, weren't ready for it and they end up DNFing because they get
Yeah, but
panic
I think
attacks and stuff.
but that's the thing, you know. I mean, a warm up, especially if you're an amateur, you're not used to open water swimming. Apart from loosening up the muscles and all that, it can be a shock to the body, like the cold, fear of darkness, whatever.
I got
And
pulled
then they
out,
wonder
mate.
why people die and all that.
I got pulled out in 2020 by a lifeboat. Fucking pulled me out of the
Exactly.
water, mate. It was so embarrassing. Like, I had to put my hand up and get chucked into get chucked into the boat. It was like I was trying to get escape from the top fucking Titanic or something, mate, you know, like, "Help me.
Was that
Over
because
here,
you had a panic
over
attack?
here." I had a panic attack and I couldn't get going. I was gasping, mate. I thought I was gonna die. I thought my days were gone.
Why was it? Do you think like sharks are in there, or what was it?
I just couldn't breathe, mate. It was like I was on a sinking ship and,
But
I was
out of
gasping
the
for
blue,
breath.
what made you
Out of the
think, "I
blue.
can't breathe"? What was it?
I
Was it the cold, or what was it?
Well, it was the cold, it was the altitude, the swim. They started off and you went gunning it, and you know what it's like trying to breathe when you're at like when you first get to altitude. So the swim was at like it's in Davos. It was like 1,700 meters. So basically, think about like trying to space similar to the pool in Fontenay, maybe in between that and the lake. So imagine you get in this cold, wet, horrible water. It's freezing cold, and then you sprint off at the start. They didn't let you have a warm up because of all these stupid COVID rules back then. So you sprinted off 100 meters late, 50 to 100 meters later, I was gone, mate. Like I couldn't breathe. I was like, like that. Put my hand up. Fucking boat was there watching me, thinking we might need to save this person. We were looking at each other in the eye, and
Is
I
this guy a
thought,
pro?
yeah, and that was it. I was out. I was out.
But
That was the
anyway,
end.
so in Wales, no warm there was a warm up for the pros. You were a bit late.
I
Hello,
had a
excuse
good
me.
warm up anyway. I had a good warm up. I didn't need to do any more. So that was and I felt pretty good. You can tell, can't you, when you get in the water and you like if you're tapered and you do a few strokes
To be
and you
honest,
can
I can't. I always feel fucked in the water.
do you?
but I don't know. I never feel anything that I'm
All
thinking
right.
like, "This is gonna be my day."
Well, I felt all right, so I was like, "This could be my day," on the swim, and I'd been swimming
Uh,
quite well anyway, so I was like quite so I was quite happy with that. Started off, it didn't start off that fast, I don't think, but I think part of that is because it was so rough. The waves were just knocking you back. But anyway, one guy pissed off at the start, Andy Horsfield Turner. He's a really good swimmer. Like he led the swim out at Swansea when Alistair Brownlee was there. So we were never going to stay with him. So I wasn't
yeah,
even that bothered. I was like, well, there's
no.
no point in me trying to stay with him.
Yeah,
Do
he
you know
was
what I
a
mean?
really good swimmer.
Yeah, exactly. So there was no point in me even trying to go with him. Then Harry Palmer obviously managed to get away, and I could see that. And he was on the left-hand side and I was on the right-hand side, so there was a bit of distance, and I tried to put in a bit of a surge to go there, but I kinda left it a bit late, and I ended up doing most of the first lap by myself, and then towards the end of the first lap, I got caught by a couple of others, and that ended up being, like, the 2 French guys. One of them made the podium, and then the other guy's that Will Menison, who's pretty decent, but I think he's
Mhm.
been battling a bit of illness lately, so he pulled out later on in the bike, but got out of the water with them, and then I just decided to stay with them for the second lap because it was so rough that you couldn't really see properly, and you were breathing in loads of water, and it was just more hassle than what it was worth. So I kind of just thought I'll just stay on their feet because it's easier, not having to worry about anything. And
Yeah.
then and then plus you're in the melee of the age groupers, aren't you? You're trying to like weave your way through all the age groupers. So it was just easier to stay on the feet and like let them work their way through instead of you trying to force your way through. So I just did that. And to be honest, because I knew there was only two people ahead, I was like, well, it doesn't. I'm in a good position anyway. Like, I don't really need to. Like, there's not really too much benefit. And then you get out of the water anyway. I got out in fifth. Them two were just ahead of me, so they were third and fourth. You have to run up some steps, and then you have to put your shoes on. Or you don't have to. You can run to transition, but you have to take another set of shoes for this race because it's a hell of a run. It's like a K run to transition. So you have to put on another pair of
And
trainers.
almost all uphill, isn't it?
Kind of. There's like you go up the hill from the beach to like the seawall, which is quite steep, and that's a couple of 100 meters. That's probably about 200 meters, and then it's kind of like a bit draggy to the transition. Um, so you run all the way to transition. Transition takes like 6 minutes, so it's about 4.5 minutes of running, probably about 30 or 40 seconds in the tent, and then about another 50 seconds there. I managed to jump them in transition, so I got on the bike in third. French guy just came past me, then I re-overtook him again anyway. Got into my rhythm on the bike, and then there was a motorbike that was filming some coverage for Dream Team, this like British TV company, and I like waved at them just pissing around, and they must have thought, oh, this guy's there game for a bit of chat. She's like, how do you feel? Asking me stuff like that, and I was like, all right, all right. And then I was like, so does that record sound? Because sometimes they don't, do they? They just have someone talk over it. He
Yeah,
said, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, record sound. And I said, who's that in front of me? Because I didn't know Harry was in front of me. I had no idea who it was. And because I could see him on the bike, I could see I was catching someone. So that's Harry. I thought, fucking hell, it's Harry Palmer. It's the influencer on YouTube. I said, I'm going to junkyard dog him. And he said, what's that? I said, I'm going to bark at him like a dog. And
Was
the
this
guy
on the
started,
bike?
yeah, the guy started pissing himself laughing because he thought, well, pretty thought that's a weird thing to do, but all right. I said, make sure you get it on the TV. So he went, all right. So then he went up ahead to where like Harry was and started filming it. And then when I went past it, him, I like just gave him a proper like junkyard dog, like
But
bark.
what was it for? What TV then?
Some Welsh like S4C or something, which is apparently the Welsh Channel 4. But they
Alright.
were following the pro race. So it would probably be quite good coverage because I think they're making a 30 minute video highlights thing from the pro race. So they were
Oh,
like
cool.
nipping, they were like going back and forth. There was only one motorbike, so it was like doing a bit with the front and coming back and then filming people. So I did that, and he started laughing when I did it. Harry did, and then he came with me for a bit because I said, "Harry, come with me, mate, and you can get on the podium. Like we'll ride up to the front." So he was like, all right, all right. He came with me for a bit, but then I ended up losing him. So I was by myself, and then I could get some split. I was getting some splits coming down from the front. So it started off at like 5 minutes. It was down to like 3.5 minutes. Like, that was the last one I got before the accident happened. And then I went down a descent, and when I got to the bottom, 90-degree right, took the turn. My chain came off, and I thought, oh, that's bloody annoying. Got off because I tried. Sometimes you can flick it back. You can get it back on, can't you? If you've got a
Yeah.
front mech.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have a front mech anyway, so I couldn't do that. But thought that's annoying. Like I was in a really good rhythm. Got off the bike, tried to get it on, and noticed there was a knot in it, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking annoying. Like, how the hell did that get in there? I had no idea. So I was messing around with it for ages, trying to get it out. And I was like, does anyone know how to get a knot out? Like, like, 'cause there was a few people there. And they were like, "No, no, no, not really." And then like some guy was
Were
like,
you losing your shit?
um, I was losing my
Because
shit
I've
when they
I've
started
seen
coming
you.
past. When they
I've,
start at first, I wasn't too bad, but when more and more people came round, I was losing my shit. And then the woman was like, "I'll ring for mechanical support," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, good one, nice one." And then I was like, "Where are they?" After about 5 minutes, "Where are they?" She's like, "They're not answering." And then like a bit later, she
oh,
goes, "This is where's the mechanic?" She was on the radio. "This is getting very emotional up here."
yeah. It's getting very emotional.
I was really losing my shit. I was like, "This is ridiculous!" Like, they're all going past me because they'd gone past me a long while ago by this point. So I'm thinking, "Oh my god, like I'm never going to see these guys again. Like this is it." Like, and then the guy was like, "Get the back wheel out, and you'll be able to get the knot out." It's got the back wheel out. Someone was holding the back wheel. We couldn't get it out. In the end, a marshal came. There was like there was about three marshals in total that came, like, because they were on bikes. And then one of them had a chain link tool, just totally random. Wasn't the mechanics. They didn't even come, like, still. So I would have probably still been waiting in Tenby for him. So he randomly had a chain link tool. So we thought the only way we're going to get this out is if we take the chain off, like split it,
Mhm.
take it off, or like not take it off completely off, but like take the chain apart and then get the knot out like that. Then put the chain back, then put the rear wheel in, and then put the chain back together. So that was what we had to do in the end, but it took ages because we had to wait for the marshal who had the chain link tool to do it. And then like they were like, "You need to put some force on," because we didn't have anything. Actually, I think he just had some pliers. I don't even think they were a chain link tool because normally with a chain link tool you can do it back up, can't you?
Yeah.
So he couldn't do it back up with that, so he must have just had some pliers on an Allen key. I think that was what it was, or something like that. I'm not really too sure, but and then they were like, "You need to put some weight on it. You need to put some weight on it with the brakes, otherwise the chain might come back off." So I did it, and I was like, "Thanks, thanks, thanks." And then like they were like, "All right, go on, good luck." And I got back on my bike, and they all like gave a cheer because there was like a load of people watching. They were like, "Hey!"
Because
And
they
I was
thought
like,
the emotional one is off
I was like,
again.
"This is." I was like, "I'm losing the bloody race here. This is so annoying. Like, where's the mechanic?"
By
uh,
this point, you thought you lost like 15 minutes,
I
10
thought I
to
lost
15
15
minutes.
minutes. Yeah, I thought I'd lost 15 minutes. I thought it always seems longer than it. So I thought 10 to 15 minutes I've lost. And then I went a little bit down the road and I had someone say 14. I thought, "Oh, I'm only 14 minutes behind. I didn't even lose that much." But what he actually probably meant was 14th place, I realized, because I overtook two people by the time I got to this other guy who was at the end of the lap, which was about another 40 Ks later. And he said 18 minutes and 12th place. And then it dawned on me, oh, the two people I overtook would have been 14, and now I'm in 12th place, but I'm actually 18 minutes behind. So I heard
What
someone say 23 as well, and it was obviously 23 minutes was what I was down. But I thought, no, it's not 23 minutes. I didn't have a clue what he was on about when he said it. But when he said 23, he must have been like, "You're 23 minutes behind." If I'd have known that, I would have been like losing my shit big time. I'd have been like, "Oh, by the way, when I was waiting as well, I borrowed the phone of a volunteer and I rang Laura up because I was like, this is my race is over." I said, "My race is over. Have you got a phone I can borrow?" He said, "Yeah, yeah,
Because you
yeah,
were
I've got a
thinking
phone."
that they thought you might crash to something, right?
Yeah, and I was kind of like a bit downbeat at that point. So I rang Laura up and I said, I've had a bloody mechanical." And she was like, "Why? What's gone wrong? What's gone wrong?" I said, "My chain's got in a knot and I can't get it out." Like, because it was still in the knot at this point. We couldn't get it out. I said, "I've been here about 15 minutes. Like, my race is over." And she said, "We lost 30 minutes last year. Like, and you're all right. And you last time and you were all right. You'll be all right." And I was like, "All right." Like, and then I gave the phone back. And then, like, that was like, I was like pretty much off after that. Like, about 90 seconds later, I was off. And I was like,
What were you thinking on the bike when you were about 120 Ks in? You were still like 20 minutes down.
I was thinking, well, when I got the time split after 110K and I was 18 minutes or 19 minutes, whatever it was, I was actually thinking that's like not the what that it's bad, but like if they start fading towards the end, because I actually felt pretty good on the bike. So I was like, if they start fading and I can get it down to 12 minutes or 13 minutes, I might have a chance. I kind of thought, unlikely I might win because like I'd have to hope that they blew up on the run. But I was like, let's keep it going and see what happens. I thought just I'll give it some on the bike and assess the situation as I get into town. And I thought the gap was going to be a bit smaller when I come into town. I got a split on like the climb, before you get into town. They said 15 minutes something, and I thought I'd gone up that pretty hard because there's two climbs right next to each other. One's like 16%, lasts about 2 minutes. You know, you're in your bottom gear out the saddle basically. You know,
Mhm.
properly grinding. And then the next one, steep at the bottom and then draggy, but it takes 6 minutes, like five minutes to get up it, like at a decent effort, you know, like high
Mhm.
300 watts. So I was like, hopefully I've taken a bit more time out because I felt like I went out of them pretty strong and I thought they might be fading towards the end of the ride. So maybe I could gain a minute back. Got into town, like, and when I got in, I could see Andy Horsfall Turner, who was leading the race, running up the hill already to the turnaround. So he was like, I'm trying to think, 2 to 2.5K on the run already. And then I still had to ride the 2.5K to transition, do transition, and then get out. So he was like 4K ahead of me, basically, by the time I got out onto the run. And I got a split 15 minutes 50 to him. And then they said 10 minutes to second. And I'm like, that's not too bad to second, 10 minutes. There's quite a lot though to Boris Stein, you know, I thought, because he's quite a strong
Mhm.
runner. But 15 minutes, I thought, well, there's nothing really I can do. You know, I'll just say how I feel. I felt fantastic though. I started the run and my legs felt great, but I didn't bother looking at the Garmin because I was like, I'll just go by feel and run at what feels like a nice pace. Um,
But you saw the first split, right?
no, I didn't bother looking. I saw the first mile. I saw the first mile, but I didn't. But that had a load of climbing as well, and that was 5:58 for the first mile. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
But why don't you wanna look at the watch? I'm always like, I wanna see what this
Because
is
there's
like.
nothing you can do,
What
is there? If you feel like you're going
there's
to,
nothing you can do. There's
so
nothing you can
there's
do.
pointless, like, because if it feels like it's a decent pace, you're either going to say to yourself, "I'm going too fast. I better slow down," and it might have a negative effect. Or if you look at it and it's shit, well, what can you do? Because you're already going as well as what a pace that you feel like's decent, so you can't do anything, can you? So
No.
it's probably going to have a negative impact on you, and you're best just listening to your body and going by how your body feels. But then I got a time split, so I went past when I went past him, he was then heading back into town. And I thought, right, 15:50 is what I'm behind because I had a few time splits from people saying 15 minutes 50. So you can kind of gather that that's an accurate split, can't you? Because loads of people were saying like consistent
Mhm, mhm.
information. So I thought, right, I'll time him now where I pass him and I'll look back when I get there. And I thought, in my head, to win the race, I need to take 2 minutes out of him on the first lap and 90 seconds out of Boris Stein on the first lap. And then I've got a good shot of win the race.
So you were
Because
doing a little math game with
so I was doing
yourself.
a little bit of maths, yeah, because I know that I don't really fade, so I always run quite strong. And I thought if it's around that, I've got a good chance. And I knew that Andy would probably slow down a lot because he's a Welsh athlete. He's leading Ironman Wales. You know, he's going to be quite excited. And it was
Chimp
only a
all over.
chimp
Chimp
all
all
over. The
over.
chimp was going to be going mental in his head.
Yeah.
And it was his second Ironman. So he's on, you know, I think it was his second or third Ironman. So he's not got a mass amount of experience. But then when I came past the 50, when I came past the spot that I timed him for the first time, I saw the gap was down to 12 minutes. So I was like, I've taken 3 minutes out of him. I haven't even finished the first lap. I was like, that's brilliant because I only need to average 4 minutes a lap. And I felt like I was just running at a comfortable pace. And then I think the split to Boris had gone down by over 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes on the first lap. So
Mhm.
I was like, well, that's more than what it adds up for the whole 4 laps. So I thought at the end of the first, and then the guy who was in third, Dougal was in front of me as well. So I caught him like pretty soon. He was only 2 minutes ahead of me. So I caught him at the halfway point on the first lap. And then the guy that was in third, I think I caught him on the start of the second lap. So basically, I knew from how the first lap had gone that I was probably going to have a good chance of winning because I didn't feel like I was going to slow down. And I thought they might slow down more. And I'm already going
But
fast enough.
you were going for you're saying that, but you were going to throw the first half marathon in 116 high, and I was
115,
thinking,
115 high on the training peaks.
all right, so yeah, well the
Oh, well,
tracker said
you
this.
were looking on the tracker. You were looking on the
Yeah.
tracker.
So,
Yeah.
right, going off Training Peaks, 115 high. There wasn't one point that you were thinking Braden Curry, St. George, Joe Skipper in Wales, 115 high is like a 2:32 marathon on probably the toughest Ironman run course. The chimp ain't gonna like that.
Well, yeah, you would be thinking that because you were looking at the numbers like that, and it would just seem like it was totally unfeasible. But I wasn't looking at my watch, so I was unaware how fast I was actually going because I wasn't really looking at any splits or any times. The only time I got that timing split was when I timed Andy. And then I was getting so many splits from people on the course that I didn't need to look at my watch. So I was unaware how fast I was actually going. I just knew that it felt comfortable and the time was coming down. So it wasn't like my chimp was telling like I was running too quick because of my chimp, because I
I think it's
wasn't looking.
crazy though. Like, I always want to see the K splits. Like, I'm just curious
Yeah, but
what the hell's
you
going on.
just, it doesn't matter. You can't let that
I
get to
know,
you. You
I
just can't
know,
do it. You just got
but
to
it
tell
doesn't
yourself
even
no.
get to me. It's just more like I just want to know. I
I
want to
know
know.
you might want to know, but then it might sometimes have an effect on how you perceive that effort. Because if it is quite quick, it could work out positive, because you could think, yes, I'm on an absolute blinder, like I'm running real fast and like it feels easy. I saw the
Yeah,
odd mile split. Don't get me wrong, I did see the odd mile split. Like I had the odd look. I probably saw about 4 or 5 of them, but some of them were on quite quick parts of the course. So I was seeing like 5:20 something on one of the downhills, 5:47 on some of the flat bits. So I knew, and I did get my 10-mile split of like 58 minutes. So I knew I was running pretty quick. But it was very rare that I was looking at the watch, and I was more going by how I felt. Like I was making it
hmm
feel, I was just thinking of technique, and I was getting so many junkyard dogs off people. I wanted to give some back, but I was like trying to concentrate, and I knew I couldn't really fuck around. So I had to, but when I got into the lead, that was when I started messing around a bit and giving like a few junkyard dogs back, because I felt pretty good and I was like, oh, I've got it now. Like, so I started messing around with people. But to be honest, I was actually really enjoying the chase. That was the bit what was really motivating me. When I actually got into the lead, that was the worst bit of the lot, because then it wasn't the fun bit. It's like, when you're younger and you were at school, if you fancied a good looking girl, the chase was always the motivating bit, isn't it? Once you've pulled her, it's not as fun, is it? It was all about like, you wanted to kiss the good looking girl, didn't you? And once you've done it, hadn't you? That was what it was
I don't
like,
know,
on
mate.
the race course.
To me, there's more than that in romance.
Yeah, I know, but this is when you're younger. This is when you're younger. You think about Tom in his early days, like the chase is the fun bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's but it's also the whole build up. I think it's the whole build up
Yeah, it's the
into
whole
it,
build up into
and
the chase,
the
mate.
whole build
It's
up, and
you like to
um,
wine and dine, don't you?
but also I also like to get chased. So but that thing in a race never happened. I'm always the one that chases. But is it really
The
chasing if you run
chasing's
at
the
a
more
slow
fun
pace?
bit. The chasing's the fun bit, mate. Once you're in the front,
But
you don't know what's going on behind you, and you start it's hard to keep your composure and keep it going, and you're the only one that can mess up then. But when you're behind, and you can hear the gaps going down, it's so much easier.
yeah,
Like, I think it's a lot nicer being behind and doing the chasing. You're in a
yeah.
luxury position, mate. You're always chasing people.
It's
You might not always catch them, but you're always chasing.
but but what about that bit where you said you were 20 minutes down and you were losing your shit? Can you imagine if I come out of the water and they say 20 minutes down? I always need to keep my shit together, Joe. I always need to keep my shit together.
Well, yeah,
I
that would
can't
be
lose my
like
shit like you.
yeah, well, that would be like, you're chasing someone and the girl's got absolutely zero interest in you, and no matter how hard you try, it's just not gonna happen. That
You
was what
can
that
you
was
can you
like.
can go at it at like 400 watts. It's not going to
It's
happen.
not gonna happen.
But
She's telling you, "No, you're not my type.
it's
I see you more as a friend."
um, all right. So in the end, you managed to win the race. It was the run course was long, right? So well, it's a phenomenal run. I would say you're in a really really good shape for Kona. Do you think that mentally my playlists in Font Remo, Celine Dion, Enrique Iglesias, my boys, my girls, they prep you well for this race?
Yeah,
Mentally put you in that state?
mental toughness, mate. If you can concentrate on a hill, running and riding up hills, listening to Ronan Keating, Titanic soundtrack, Celine Dion, all that, you can do anything. It's perfect
What
Ironman training prep.
What's the no? But honestly, that was an awesome race. Like with you, managed to win that one still by 8 minutes. If you take into consideration the mechanical what you had, it's like almost 30 minutes on second place. I'm not sure whether it ever happened in like an Ironman race. 30 minutes. It's like you make the others look a bit weak. It's like more like amateurs. And they aren't. So I'd say you're in a really, really decent shape for Kona. So you better be going, right?
Y
You ready?
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely ready. I'm, like, taking it really serious, and that was I knew I was racing. For people that, might not have listened to other podcasts, I'd already committed to racing Kona, hadn't I, before we went to Wales? Like, I'd booked everything, so, like, you know, my eyes were set on Kona. So like, Wales, I really want to do for a bit of fun, I want to test myself, but Kona's the big goal. And that's what I'm really looking to have a big race at.
Going off that run, you uploaded it on Strava and you called it something like, I ain't gonna need 5 minutes in Kona, Christian. What did you mean by that?
So when we had that party round the house in Font or not the party, but when they came round, it was Christian,
We
Gustav,
just
and I
had a couple
think
of pizzas and Diet Coke.
that one, yeah. Mark Techno
You
was
mean my
sat.
birthday party? Oh no, that was the other
No,
one.
no, the other one. Techno was sat next, like, so Christian was sat opposite me, and Techno was next to Christian and me, and he said to Christian, like, "Do you think Joe can beat you in Kona?" Like, that was what he said, and Christian was like, "No, I don't think so. Like, he'll need 5 minutes on the run." And I was like, "I ain't gonna need 5 minutes on the run in Kona to beat you." And he's like, "Yeah, but I run 5 minutes quicker than you in sub 7." And I said, "Yeah, but I won't fit in sub 7." I said, "I ain't gonna need 5 minutes to beat you in Kona." And then he was like, "Yeah, but sub 7 was like your fastest
This
run."
this is when you were saying goodbye to each other, right? I mean, when they were going off, they were leaving, wasn't it?
No, no, this was a long way before that.
All right.
This was when we were sat, like, literally having just after having the pizzas and stuff. So,
Oh, all right.
like for a while. And he was like, "Yeah, but sub 7 was like your best ever run that you've done." And I was like, "Well, it might have been the fastest one, but I still wasn't fit for it. And I don't think I'll need 5 minutes to beat you." I said, "I reckon a minute tops." I said, I said to him something like that. And he was obviously like, "Nah, nah, nah." And yeah, so that was where it came from, because it reminded me when I did it about that conversation. So I had to call it that, didn't I?
Did he say something to you back after?
He just posted something on the Triathlon Mockery, didn't he? Like,
Yeah, he did.
did he say something like "looking forward to Kona" or something like that?
Yeah, 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 something like that. Yeah.
I think he'd probably look forward to. I think he would
I mean,
love to have a
obviously,
bit of
yeah,
a battle, wouldn't he? He's used to
it
them
would
from
be.
ITU.
I mean, if you look at what he's done now, I think he'd like a close battle. If you're halfway through the run and you're 5 minutes up ahead, it's a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd love to have a battle with him. It'd be like the
I
modern
reckon
day Iron
Christian
War, wouldn't
likes
it?
it to come down. What you saw in that W Cup in Bergen when they were absolutely motoring for like a sprint finish. I mean, you don't want a sprint finish in Kona, but maybe like a hard 4K, last 4K.
Yeah, you want to last hard 4K with him fading, don't you? Going up, up the run to Palani Hill. The little
Ideally, with you in the
Norwegian.
lead.
Yeah, with me in the lead. The Norwegian just flipping melting in that sun.
But
Like, because he's going to melt, in. Look at him. He's white. He's like, I mean, Bergen's not hot, is it? It's cold, isn't it?
I don't know. He did pretty damn well in Tokyo.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, mate. Like I'm white, I'm melting, but he's a bit different.
He's
But
well,
he's
yeah. He's
we're
quite a tough
very
one,
much
isn't he? He's quite a tough guy.
we're very much alike, yet we're not. But I was thinking, by the way, during
Invite him to Almere for a couple of weeks. That'll soften him up a bit for the weather.
he was really close to Almere back then when he was training for the sub 7 in
Yeah, but he didn't
Amsterdam.
have to worry about training in Kona conditions then, did he?
No. But by the way, did you have any chance during the race look at your glucose levels?
I just asked myself, "Do you feel hungry?" And if the answer was like, "Well, I could fancy a gel," then I just smashed another gel. I don't need to look at the glucose levels. Like, you just keep eating and drinking, don't you? And it's good enough.
Some by the way, were saying it might have been the greatest comeback in Ironman, like blah blah blah. But to be fair, I mean, it was a quick run, but you did had a 20-minute break, mate.
I know I had a rest, didn't I?
A 23-minute rest.
To stock my glucose levels up. If I'd had that Super Sapiens thing, you'd have been seeing my levels climb, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just sat there.
If I'd sat on the side of the road in Almere for like 23 minutes, I'd be fresh as a fiddle.
But it was very emotional though. It would have been like you watching a really, like, emotional film. You'd
Would
start
you
getting a
say
bit teary-eyed in the end. Like, I was
a
almost
middle bit
crying,
of
mate.
Like Tarzan, something like that?
More like The Notebook or something.
The Green Mile.
More, when you get locked up and you like think you're never
What's
gonna see the daylight.
So, Joe, in every Ironman, you always learn something. What's your takeaway from this one?
Never give up, because you never know what can happen. Because I could have quite easily given up. And could you imagine if I'd have just given up after that, thinking I'd lost 20 minutes and just rode back into town? Because I could have, because I was only literally like 15K, from town at that point, 15,
Mhm.
20K.
Which a lot of people do. Even if they get a flat, they stop.
Yeah. So I would say never give up. And to be honest, it actually was quite fun riding and running my way back through the field. Like, it was
Mhm.
actually I actually quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't wanna do it again, but, like, it was fun.
Ideally, you wouldn't, but
Ideally, I wouldn't wanna lose 20 minutes on the side of the road, but it worked out all right.
and the takeaway in the end, you've if you're like, for example, if you paid registration fee, you just think like, I've paid the fee, I'm in the race, I might as well just make it an awesome day training with free aid stations.
Well, that's what I thought. Worst case scenario, we'll just use it as a decent training day. So I was like, I'll just push the bike hard and then I can see how I feel on the run. And if I feel terrible on the run, then I'm not going to kill myself, with Kona in 4 weeks' time. So I thought about 10, 20K of the run would be all right. So I
Yeah.
thought, I'll just do the bike, see how it feels. I felt really good on the bike and then started off the run, felt good. And then you kind of just play it by ear, don't you? But you never want to give up, really. I mean, if you feel terrible and you've got like Kona or World Championships in 3 or 4 weeks, then you might assess the situation and think what's sensible. But keep going and like do your best and just see, really make the call when you really have to. Don't
Do
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 irrational
you ever
things.
think if you start the marathon, like, "Fuck, this is such a long while, still need to run pretty long while?"
No, I was actually thinking on that run because I knew the run was long. I was like, I'm glad this run's long because I might need every last kilometer of this to claw this gap back. That's what I was actually thinking. I was like, I'm glad this is a hard, hilly, long run because I might need every last one of these kilometers. And then when I'd got the lead and I was like running back in town, I was like, oh, I wish this run wasn't long. I could do with it being over now. Like, I don't need all these kilometers.
I was literally in Almere, I was thinking at some bit, like, it's actually a pretty long day, isn't it? It's a long day.
Yeah, yeah, it is a long day. Yeah.
It's a long day, it's a brutal
But
sport.
I'll tell you what I felt was harder. I thought that 300K ride we did in, Font Romeu with the run off the bike was harder than what I did in Wales.
Yeah?
Like, yeah, I was totally depleted when we started that run. I was hallucinating on that descent. I thought I saw a dog, but it weren't. It was like a different change. It was a change in
Solid
bricks to the
dog.
wall. Yeah, I did on the, descent. I was like, and then that last bit, where I had to ride up into that headwind
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah.
what felt like an eternity. That was, horrific.
But
Absolutely horrific.
it got us strong though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It felt easy compared to that. I mean, 300 Ks and then doing a run off the bike. What was
Because
it?
I was
4,000 meters of climbing, 35 Ks an hour average speed.
'Cause I was thinking, this race in Almere, because over the last couple of Ironmans, I've always done like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, like super duper hard to try and bridge up to some group and then ease up a little bit and ride it steady. And I think in Switzerland it was something like 290 average, 305 normalized, and in South Africa something like that as well. But I felt like pretty tired coming off the bike, and now I only had 3 second power, but I didn't have average power and I didn't have like average lap power. I turned it off, so I rode it like steady for 2.5 hours, but it felt like steady hard, but not really hard. And then after that, I just felt I'll just ride easier. And I still ended up riding 290 watts and I came off the bike so fresh. So I think like literally over, if I compared it to, so in 2018, when I did my first Ironman, I would ride 243 watts for an Ironman, 243. The year after in 2018 in Cork, I did 265, I reckon, if I'm not mistaken. Then New Zealand the year after that with you, I did 272.
Is that all you did in New Zealand? I thought you did like 300 in there.
No, that's the half. That's the half. I did 320 and a half. And then
Yeah.
I told you, like, I don't understand how I can do 320 and a half, but only 272 in a full.
You're a
And then
speed
you said,
demon, mate. Like, you're more built for Super League and stuff like
no,
that.
but no, but you were saying something like you don't have like the volume and all that. But then I think the years after that, I've been doing way more volume, like now like 12 to 15 hours a week. So if I'm I like really I think that's been the biggest improvement for me over the last 2 years. Swim, this, and now I need to work on that run.
And then you'll be the
It's
full package.
I wouldn't say the full package, but I'd say I can be competitive. Like I can be in there for a top 10 or something.
So do you think next year you could potentially swim in the next group up and bike with the top guys? Like, if Lionel Sanders was in there and he didn't have much of a pack to swim with, next year, if you trained hard, could you potentially stay on his feet?
I don't know. I think the difference between 54 minutes and 50 minutes is massive. Is
But what
absolutely
about if he
massive.
swam 51, say?
50. I'd be happy to say yes, but I think that's a big gap to. I mean, I can see how many years some people have trained for this to get to that level, and I don't know. I would 51 is quick, mate. It's quick.
So it could be 2 years.
Could be 2 years, yeah. But like, if it were up to me, I'd say tomorrow. No, but I must say, racing is so much more fun. I mean, to me, as if you're racing as a professional, if you're actually like feeling that you're in the race,
Oh, you want to
I,
be in the
I,
race, otherwise it's
I really
rubbish, isn't it?
struggle with that over the last 2 years. So I think that for me is the massive takeaway for this one. Like, it makes it more fun to be finally a bit more.
And now you've decided not to go to Kona, haven't you, for the Triathlon Mockery, because you want to concentrate on on like doing
Well,
a better
there's
result, don't you?
a couple of things. Like, I've had a chat with you and with my dad and a couple of others, and thinking that basically it doesn't cut the cost for Kona. It's just super expensive, and I don't want to fund it myself. And the only reason, kind of, is well, the whole stuff doesn't bring anything to me personally on besides like having a lot of fun being there and meeting a lot of people. But in the end, I've been out this season for a long time, and I just need to get a couple of good races in, or I mean, any races. I've just had a race that I think for me was a good one, and I just need to build on this season. And Kona is not really around the corner, so apart from financial,
You want to see what you want to get a decent block of training basically, and see what you can do in
yes, because
November,
if
don't
I'm
you?
going to Kona, I need to travel there, then probably won't be doing much training there. Get back, then you're absolutely jet lagged. Shit, you're not doing any training anyway, so it's just hard, really.
Yeah.
You know,
So yeah, you're going to give that a go. Maybe Arizona, maybe Israel. It's up for debate. Potentially Western
maybe the
Australia.
half distance triathlon in Ibiza, end of October.
Have a bit of party there as well.
Yeah, and then Arizona.
Few
You might be
alcohol,
doing. You
few
you would
alcohol
you would
free beers.
fancy Arizona, wouldn't you?
I would be up for Arizona. Yeah, I've done it before. Had a shocker. DNF'd.
All
Um,
right.
Freezing cold water. I thought the water was going to be boiling. I thought Arizona. The water was absolutely freezing. My leg was like screwed when I got out, like on the bike. Felt like I pulled a muscle. Had a
Shall we?
shocker.
We can talk about this later on in October
Yeah,
anyway, Arizona. But shall we go over to the bullshit buster, Joe?
yeah.
I just saw Cameron Worth posting up that he's going to race Super Lake Malibu.
Cam Worth actually posted it up.
Cam Worth posted it up.
I thought you said a friend posted it up saying that he was going to do it.
Yeah, that was at first, and literally a minute after that, he announced it. He's going to race Super League.
Wow, that is awesome. I can't wait to see that.
I know. He
I
is.
really hope he can hang in there on the swim because he could mix that up on the bike.
That would make the bike part a bit more exciting, wouldn't it?
And yeah, if you get off the bike first, you get the short shoot for the run. So you get a massive shortcut.
So we're not sure whether this is a bullshit buster or not. We're hoping it is not.
I hope
But
it's not.
Cam Worth is well, the rowing long distance Ironman professional cyclist.
And to be fair on the
With him,
swim, you can't lose a massive amount in 300 meters. It's
I don't
300
know.
meters, 20
Yeah, but they
seconds.
probably swim something like 105 pace.
Yeah, at the front, but then there's when I watched it in London, there's guys that are losing like 15 seconds already. So if you work that out, 15 seconds, that means they're 110s. Like, could he hang on the feet? It's 300 meters. Or like, could he bridge up 10 seconds? I mean, the transition, if he has a bad transition, I mean, that could end up being another 10 seconds. But if he can do a half decent transition, he is actually not a bad swimmer, is he? If you look at him,
He is not a bad
he's
swimmer.
made the
He's
front
not a bad
pass
swimmer.
quite a few times. Like,
Yeah.
I would like to see him mixing it up on there, at least on the bike. Like, it would be good.
And what about the bike is pretty short though, isn't it? Like 5K? What
Oh,
is it?
mega short, yeah, but it's technical normally. So I'd imagine his bike handling skills would be pretty decent. So he could actually like, you know, I mean, if you're used to racing world tour races and the technical aspects they're going to be like, he could do all
What
right if he can survive the
what would
swim
be the reason he's in this race?
for shits and
Like,
giggles,
you
just
think
for a
he
laugh.
he just loves
He's
it. He
just like,
just wants to
fuck it,
get
I'll
in
do it.
there.
Yeah, I think he just thinks, fuck it, I'll do it. It'll be a good laugh. And he's training out in LA anyway, isn't he? He's in like, he's literally like 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
So for him, he's probably like, yeah, it'll
it's a
be a good crack.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Have we got an Instagram post of the week, Joe?
Yes, we have. And it is a guy who has a brilliant idea. And his idea is if you want to cut the costs of an Ironman, a Morton gel, he's obviously from Switzerland, and he says a Morton gel is 4 Swiss francs in Switzerland. Obviously, Ironman is sponsored by Morton gels, so you can get as many of these bad boys as you want through an aid station. So this guy is like tanked up on like gels. and he's got this special gear what he's got where he can get as many as possible, and his aim is to
Well,
get 40 gels, wasn't it?
he's got this Rambo thing on. So Rambo has got it loose. Has
It
got it.
reminds me of you doing the run through the trails in Malaga.
He's got 1 second. So he's got this Rambo thing on where Rambo uses it to load it up with ammunition, and he loads it up with Morton gels, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
instead of loading it up with like magazines for your rifle, he's literally got bloody gels on there. So he's like, if I can get 40 or 50 gels, Morton gels, I can sell them for Swiss francs, or whatever it is each. So I can get 200 Swiss francs. I have no idea what that is in British pounds or euros, the conversion. Do you know? But I don't know, maybe 2 quid a time they cost. I'm just guessing. So he's like, I'm going to get 40 or 50 gels from, from the aid stations as I go on. But I think the tip is get most of them from the last couple of aid stations, and then, because obviously you don't want to carry them around for the whole thing. And then when you've got them for the finish, but I just got this picture in my head of someone, they're just like volunteer, like handing out a gel in their hand, aren't they? They
Yeah.
normally have one.
Have you
You
got
just like,
15 more?
yeah, you just pushing them out the way, getting the like tray where all the gels are in, just emptying it into your bag, and him being like, "All right, see you later."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so bonking. I'm so
'Cause
bonking.
he's got like a camelback kind of thing on, hasn't he? So I guess you could just remove the bladder of the camelback. You wait, or you actually use that for the run, so you can like do your best. You get to the last couple of aid stations, boom, Morton gels go in there, 40 of them. Sell them on eBay, 2 quid each. You got yourself 100 quid basically.
Exactly. And that's how you can earn a little bit of your
Can
money
earn a
back.
little bit of cash. I mean, I did that in Wales, and I've managed to.
I can tell you, shall I tell you something about my first Ironman, Joe? My first
Well,
70.3.
do you know
And
that's how I managed to get a couple of nights free in Kona for accommodation.
what?
I took a load of Morton gels from the last couple of aid stations, and I managed to like use it towards my Kona accommodation. That's why I ended up going, because I thought of that.
Wow. But let me tell you this, in my first Ironman race, 70.3 in Barcelona, I remember before the race, I had to train with gels, and these were so expensive. And then I was riding up the first hill, and all of a sudden I saw they were handing out gels, and I was thinking, "Whoa, they actually hand out gels!" Because I didn't know, like I had no clue at all. And towards the end of the race, I was trying to grab as much bottles and gels as
Oh,
possible.
so
So
you
I
tried
had,
to do it because you were like getting it for swag. You were like, "I'll have these for training."
yeah, I just thought like I'll have gels for training, and I'll have 3 bottles, like 3 new bottles.
So you run across the line, your finish pitch has got you with bottles, gels. You know,
Yeah.
do you
I had
reckon?
this I had this fanny pack on the front as well. Well, not on the front, like on the top tube, so I can fill up with like another 4 gels.
Really? Do you
Yeah.
think you could get some people to like sign these gels, and they'd be worth more, so you could maximize your costs? For instance, like you take a gel off in Kona, you could get like Christian Blumenfeld to sign his Morton gel. Ironman Olympic champion Christian Blumenfeld.
Wishes you good luck for your long run.
Yeah, put that on eBay. That'd probably be worth 20 quid for that gel.
I reckon
Double
it would.
Olympic champion Alistair Brownlee signed it, 20 quid. Bad bike mechanic Joe Skipper,
Yeah.
fiver.
Yeah, 5,
Free.
yeah.
He'll pay you
I'd
to
buy
have it.
yeah.
He'll give you the Morton gel, just don't let him fix.
Joe, 1 hour and 15 minutes in almost. I'm gonna say takeaway from this one is, Ironman is always Ironman is always a roller coaster, but, anything is possible on the day. Never give up. Thanks for listening, everyone. Yeah, we massively appreciate the support. I mean, what we've had, I've had a couple of dogs barking at me in Almere. You've had it in Wales. Think us on to the next one, Joe. Hopefully, next Ironman we can do it together. All right, speak to you later. Bye bye.